Siberia was a choice of the heart, I think, because Siberia has always been territory that was forbidden. Much of what was written about it also had that quality of the ominous and the awful, the terrible, and the suffering, all of these things. And that leaves, I think an American always wants to know, what does that really mean? Is this really true?
Siberia, an unvisited place, a symbol for exile and loss. Millions of lives and memories were forgotten here under the oppression of communism. It's a symbol for exile, for living death, and the extinction of hope. For miles, the only sound is the wind and the birds. There are cities here which appear on no maps, camps and prisons with no names, roads which are hidden and never spoken of. This is the goal of the pilgrimage of the choir Gloriae Dei Cantores. They hope to celebrate here the return of faith, the revival of hope among the Russian people. So they will sing the Lord's Song in a Strange Land.
Очень благодарен хору Gloriae Dei.
I'm very grateful that the choir Gloriae Dei Cantores has come to our country with their noble mission. It's their second visit to Russia. They come as pilgrims. They bring their high and disciplined art of choir singing to our people, attending our services, singing in our cathedrals and concert halls. Their presence brings believers from the United States and Russia closer together.
Very, very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Where is the interpreter?
This is Mr. Megan, with the cultural director in Moscow.
How are you? Welcome in Moscow.
Музыка — это то искусство, которое не знает языкового барьера.
Music has no respect for language barriers. It crosses all borders. People today want emotional relaxation. Music gives that because it does not presuppose your intellectual level. I must stress that there's too much talk today, too many words. We're tired of all the talk. Surely today it's much better just to be silent and listen to wonderful music.
мне кажется, что вот второе наше общение...
I think that this second visit by the American choir not only enables them to see a new side of the Russian people, the emotions, the openness, the lyricism, but we Russians also learn something from listening to the choir. Their discipline, their clarity of sound, their understanding of our music. I'd call this mutual exchange, mutual enrichment.
To their audiences, this choir embodies all the American virtues. The warm applause expresses approval as well as musical enjoyment. This is Western excellence, and it's attractive. Gloriae Dei Cantores, Latin for singers to the glory of God, are dedicated to the pursuit of excellence. Hand-picked, highly motivated and rigorously trained, these men and women are enthusiastically committed to the mission of sacred music. They'll feature a worldwide repertoire on this tour, a tour that begins in Moscow, capital of a new Russia. Since the choir's first visit to Moscow in 1990, the Soviet Union has broken up, and the independent states of the new Commonwealth are struggling to find their destinies. Many look to the free market, democracy, and individualism. Others hope something can be salvaged from the old ways. There's anxiety and cynicism about political leaders, past and present. The choir's visit raises the question of just how far East and West can ever really meet. In shared faith and music, perhaps they can. Russia is experiencing a religious renaissance. The holy icons of God, the Madonna, and the saints are bought and sold for their beauty, but they're also valued for their spiritual power. To mark this return of faith, the choir choose a Christmas anthem to sing over the great domes, bridges and squares of Moscow City. In spite of political change, life in Moscow is drudgery for most people. The choir are like visitors from another planet. Their professionalism is demanding. They've tight schedules requiring organisation, technical assistance and publicity. They're action-orientated and don't like sitting around. Welding this group of individuals together in music is a task which goes on daily throughout this tour.
Okay, understudy too. Too dark and too off. You know, it's Palestrina. Keep it forward. Okay, once more. 2, 3, 4.
Director Elizabeth Patterson believes there's a spiritual dimension to the training of these voices. Because few of the choir have had musical training before they joined, they have to learn a special kind of trust.
If
You can talk, you can sing. And if you are willing to respond, to cooperate with the person who's attempting to tell you what to do, if you're willing to trust, then you can bring the gift that's within a person, that is buried within a person. Again, one of the big overcomings, and I think God intended it to be this way, is that as a person speaking or singing, that which we hear of ourselves personally is not what the rest of the world hears. People are always surprised when they hear their voice on tape recording or on television because they don't sound like themselves to them. Therefore, you really have to have someone working with you that speaks back to you and tells you what it is that is really coming out of you, not what's interior. But if you are willing to trust that, then a person who begins to work with you, who can sense where that voice needs to go, can begin to coach that voice, coax that voice out from within the person. Much better when you get it in one whole piece. And I'll try to just keep it quite fluid there, so just watch and I'll just...
Members of the choir belong to a religious community, the community of Jesus. They are Episcopalians, Presbyterians, Methodists, Lutherans, Catholics. At home and on tour they live and pray together as a family, some taking vows and wearing habits as religious brothers and sisters, others remaining in secular life. Each one is on a personal pilgrimage, and the tour offers a chance to reflect on the journey of faith which has brought them here.
I do feel that I had a gift of faith very early in life, and that I loved the Lord and I loved God very much. As I grew older, I decided to turn my heels on God, and I left everything that I knew. And by the time I was 20, I was very proud to be living on my own, supporting myself very well, and being happy to tell anyone that I was an atheist. It was then that I met my husband now, and he also was an atheist. And within 3 or 4 years, we became Christians. A very good friend of his came home from college once and started talking about Jesus. I even threatened Tony. I said to him, listen, if you talk about this Jesus thing anymore, I said, I'm going to leave you. I said, you will not see me again. I was that adamant. We felt at that point that we should be married. Within 6 months, our marriage just totally fell apart. I did not know how to really care for someone else. And I didn't know really how to love God. I had cast it aside and stomped all over it so much that I did not know how to be. And I had no idea of the gift of singing that I had also had, that the Lord had given me. I totally cast that aside. But sure enough, we became Christians and changed our whole lives.
The ebb and flow of faith in the life of individuals is mirrored in the life of the Church, with its feasts and fasts, praises and acts of penitence. Before the choir leave Moscow for Siberia, there's a chance for them to renew their acquaintance with Orthodoxy. Their visit coincides with the first Orthodox liturgy to be held within the Kremlin for 70 years.
I grew up in a very happy family, very good family, very Christian family. But I grew up thinking that it never caused me any problems. I was going to be all right, and I was okay, and don't anybody try and dig any deeper. And a few years ago, God just broke it. It was like the pressure became too much, and you can't live in your call without it happening. You know, you can't just go on leading basically a false, unreal life. So I was furious. Of course, that all came out at God, because of course my natural parents I was mad at weren't on the scene, and I just had it, and I decided I was just going to go. I wanted to live the way I wanted to live. Thank you very much. And God in His mercy, just some reason I didn't go. I'm very glad I didn't go. That was a time of real desolation, because you feel totally cut off from everybody, totally cut yourself off from God, because I was mad at Him. I didn't want anything to do with Him. Mad at everybody else. I want nothing to do with them. It's just stuck with yourself. Till you become so desperate that I decided it was worth it.
The choir are now on their way to Siberia. They're professional singers with a job to do, but they also come as curious yet sensitive sightseers, trying to bring their empathy to bear on a history of destruction which could not have happened in a free society.
Лозунг, который был в революции, разрушить старые.
The slogan of the revolution of 1917 was, "We will destroy the old world and build a new one." Well, that turned out to be untrue, because I think our society understands that without our history, it is just impossible to build our today and our tomorrow.
We sing like a lot of pieces that will have some kind of reference to suffering or crying out to God in a desperate way. In a country like this, you can't help but think this is what these people have been through, and trying to share those feelings that they must have felt.
My family was very wealthy, so because money was not a problem, I was able to do whatever I wanted to, whenever I wanted to. When I got out of high school, I decided I was going to go and see what the world was like and do things the way that I wanted to. And that's when the involvement with the drugs and other relationships, adulterous relationships, began. And it was from that point that my life started going downhill in a very bad way. Being on the very end of my rope, not having anywhere else to turn, I was desperate enough to where I was able to reach out and be able to accept Christ into my life. I was so willful and so determined to have my own way that otherwise it would have never happened. So only God could have done that.
This peaceful farmland is the dreaded Siberia. In spite of its grim name, much of Siberia is home to peasant people who've worked the ground for centuries. The wooden villages and simple lifestyle keenly reflect its name, for Siberia means sleeping land, and this wild east has Russia's most enduring form of freedom, open space, much of it still with a frontier town aroma. It was easy for the authorities to lose dissidents here. Scientists and philosophers, poets and priests just disappeared without trace to die in obscurity, their passing unnoticed and unremarked. Siberia was the northern boundary of the Soviet Empire, stretching to the far east. Its landscape, like its people, has suffered badly. Trees, soil and rivers have been ruined by industrial pollution. The godless state pillaged nature, just as it robbed the Russian people of their faith and hope.
Церкви за 74 года пришлось пережить страшные испытания.
Our church has suffered greatly during the past 74 years. I think it's possible to compare the repressions on the Russian Orthodox Church only with the repressions experienced during the reign of the Holy Roman Empire in the first years of Christianity. Thousands of believers and clergymen suffered during this hard time. In 1932, the so-called 5 years without God was announced. And in 1937, even the very name of God was not allowed to be pronounced in the Soviet Union. But the Church and the people's faith survived.
For members of the choir, the schedule is exhausting. Here, they are the furthest they'll ever be from their own high standards of timekeeping and efficiency. Every few days, it's another hotel, another journey, another strain on the already tired system.
Holly and Cynthia?
Well, I believe that one of the things that's helped us a lot to deal with the pressures and tensions that come up in a tour situation is the way that we live at home.
Are you coming on 3 or 4?
Matthew, let's just set a chain up and we'll just load it right up. This helps very much to be able to keep the pressures and the feelings, which are naturally going to come up in a situation where you travel, well, that you're just away from home. You're not in your normal living situation. There's more stress there.
To celebrate the bringing of the Lord's song to this strange land, the choir have chosen a piece of music which depicts the stark beauty of God's original creation, as though to evoke the life of the Spirit in the frozen wasteland.
And darkness was upon the face. choir for me is a call, definitely. It's a way God has called me to be who I'm supposed to be for Him. And there's a great deal of commitment involved. A lot of people say, well, how can you leave your wife and family for a couple months of the year? And, you know, I've said that, and I've had to wrestle with that over the years. And if I wasn't doing this, then I believe that God's blessing wouldn't be on my life, it wouldn't be on my family's life. My wife and I made the commitment together. She's as much involved in this call as I am. Okay, I'm here in Siberia, and she's at home in Cape Cod, but it's a mutual commitment. It's not easy. No way. I struggle with it. My commitment and my faith's a struggle. But I think struggling with those feelings is what makes our music powerful. When I sing, I know He's there, so I know I'll be taken care of. I know my wife and kids will be taken care of. We live in a wonderful community that bucks up and helps out when we need it. So there are a lot of benefits. I wouldn't have it any other way. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Far from home, Dave is not the only one who's thinking of his family back home in Cape Cod. For there, on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean, the rest of the community of Jesus carry on with the tasks of keeping the home together, looking after the children, and being part of the Christian community. For the choir, thousands of miles away, it's time to leave Siberia and return to Moscow ready to take part in the Easter celebrations of the Orthodox Church. Time for the choir to begin to reflect on what they've seen and heard on this visit.
This trip, I almost think of it as a collection of linked circles. There's so many different experiences we've had as a group, and experiences with the Russian people here in their land. For instance, yesterday I saw a little woman who had nothing to do with us drawing water from a well in this small town. I don't know whether she's ever seen Americans. I couldn't tell you. A little wrinkled up babushka, but it was the most wonderful thing to see. That she must have drawn that water every day, wheel on the little makeshift cart to her house. I don't know how far away, but to me that kind of encapsulated a lot of things that I've seen in Russia. We've seen the depth of their spirituality, the depth of commitment that they have. Lord knows, if I were in their shoes, I don't know where I'd be.
In Moscow, candles are lit to herald the festival of the Resurrection. The choir are witnesses to the triumph of faith over the tragedies of the last 70 years.
American history and Russian history are very different. We live in a society that values individuals, and I think we all have a certain bubbling optimism that comes from the fact that we as Americans have never suffered oppression. In Russia, there's still a lot, and rightly so, still a lot of caution and negativity that you can see in people's faces. But this tour has shown us that there can really be some understanding between us. I think that they can see that by attempting to sing their music, we are honoring the endurance and courage that has helped them survive.
The Easter celebrations include the exchange of hand-decorated eggs, a custom and skill which state atheism has proved unable to erase. It's a way for priest and people to say Happy Easter to each other for the first time in 70 years.
This year, for the first time in 70 years, we're celebrating Easter in what is now a non-communist country. You can actually sense the drama of this unprecedented event. In the streets of Moscow, you can see huge pictures of Christ with the words, "Christ is risen, risen indeed, and happy Easter." It really shows that we're not celebrating Easter just within our own church circle. You can feel the holiday in the city, among the people.
If any be pious and a lover of God, let them partake of this fair and radiant festival. If anyone is a faithful servant, let them come in rejoicing in the joy of their Lord. If they have wearied themselves with fasting, let them now enjoy their reward. If any have labored from the first hour, let them today receive their rightful due. And if any arrive only at the 11th hour, let them be not fearful on account of their slowness. For the Master is bountiful, and receives the last even as the first. Enter ye all therefore into the joy of our Lord, and let both first and those who come after partake of the reward. Rich and poor dance with one another. Ye who fast, and ye who fast not, rejoice. Today the table is full laden. Let all partake of the banquet of faith. Let all partake of the riches of goodness. Let none lament their poverty, for the kingdom is manifested for all. Let no one fear death, for the death of the Saviour has set us free. O death, where is thy sting? Hell, where is thy victory? Christ is risen, and death is cast down. Christ is risen, and the angels rejoice. Christ is risen, and life is made free. For Christ is risen from the dead, and become the first fruit of them that slept. To him be glory and dominion, from all ages to all ages.
This is what our common bond is, if, especially in the Russian churches, I think that this is what ties us together, is our own wastelands inside of ourselves that we've had to deal with, and how we've dealt with it. And I feel that the people that I have met in Russia are very, very courageous people. And I am surprised that they have been our enemy for so long. I'm very surprised.